I was working on my homeschool planning for this coming school year, and I figured why not give you a peek inside of my process for it and how I work through that, and maybe it'll be helpful to you. So there's a few steps that I take when I'm planning out our homeschool year for the upcoming school year. The first thing that I look at is our last year and assess what things worked for us, what things didn't, what were our favorite curriculums or books that we used or field trips that we went on, or, and you can ask your kids too, what did you like best about this past year? Or what do they remember? So what stood out to them? So you can see kind of what methods are working or what things that would be worth repeating later. And then also looking at what do we need to adjust? What was a nightmare? What caused tears every day? Or what did they not remember anything from at all? So those things are worth adjusting as we move forward. And then also considering what my teaching style is and also what their learning style is. As the teacher, if I'm trying to teach in a style that is just really doesn't click with me, then I'm probably not going to be super effective in the way that I'm teaching. But also on the other side, their learning style. If I'm trying to teach them in a way that does not line up with their learning style at all, then it's probably going to clash for them. They're not going to be able to take it in. And I think there's ways to meld and adjust to be able to reach your kids. And when you're teaching a group of children at the same time with, home learning, it's, you're going to have different styles. And so it can't be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. That's fine. But just being aware of it so that as you're moving forward, you can consider these things. So after I've looked at last year and teaching styles, just kind of this overview of where our homeschool probably needs to go, then I would pray first and ask God what goals he has for our family, for our kids, or what would be most important, and considering each child. So then I'll just take a blank piece of paper and write the kid's name at the top. Sometimes I'll put the grade that they're going into, even though I realize that homeschool grades are fluid and that's fine. But just for my own, okay, where are we at with everybody? And then I'll put down, what do I want them to grow in this year? Or what do I think it's really important for them to learn this year? And that might be something that we didn't get to last year, where I'm like, okay. Or it might be something that comes up, you're like, oh, here's a little gap that maybe we should fill in. Or it could be a character thing too. Does my kid need to work on kindness this year or patience this year? Or it could be a life skill. Do they need to be working on cooking certain things this year, or doing their own laundry, or whatever steps that they'll need as they're heading toward adulthood? It could be things like chess or outdoor time, or things to do with actual, the 3 R's. Do they need to learn multiplication this coming year, or their short vowels for reading? So you assess your child, think about where they're at now, where you want them to be, an honest goal for the year, not just, oh, I want them better at math, or I want them caught up in math, because some of those are kind of some false ideas, or that's not an obtainable goal. You'll never be there. They might never feel caught up to you, depending on who you're comparing them to, or who your child is. They might not be a mathematician, and that's fine. So making some manageable goals, here's something that I can definitely teach them, that I can definitely measure some success in, some growth in, to see that we are on the right path with it. So I would make a list for each child of where we should be heading for this next year. My next step is I go shopping at home. So in my storage shed, have totes of homeschool supplies, curriculum books, things that I've been given, things that I've found on sale or at yard sales or thrift stores, or things that people have given to us, but they weren't quite ready for them yet. Or things that I have bought because I'm like, oh, that just seems great, but we're not quite there yet, but definitely for the future, or when we study that particular topic, it's a for sure. So out in my shed, I have them labeled according to subject. So usually I go out, I pull out all the totes, and then I go shopping in my totes for the year. And okay, here's some resources that I think we'll use this year. This is the direction that I think we're going to head. Maybe this time period for history, or this is the grade level that we're at, or the reading level that they're at for books that they can grab. And also off of my shelves. So it might be, again, resource books, oh, we're going to be learning about the presidents. Here's a book on the presidents. Let's pull that out, so that all my resources are pulled together for whatever we're planning on studying for that year. Then I can look at all those and see where there are gaps in the resources for what we have upcoming. So like maybe I have a whole boat ton of stuff on history, which of course I do. But maybe I don't have as much for language arts. You know, maybe we do need to get some other reader books that are right at the level that they're in. So that gives me an idea of what I need to do for my actual shopping list that I'll be putting together to fill in what else we're going to need to get for this school year. So then the next thing I do with my notebook pages is at the top of each page, I will write the subject that we're going to study. And I do it for all of my kids because a lot of what we do is group learning. And the ones that are separate, it's like math is separate, language arts, you know, like not even grammar. We're doing grammar together this year too. But things like that could be separate depending on the ages of your kids and where they're at. But it would be easy to, you know, write in what the separate kids are doing. So at the top of the page, geography, history, math, science, whatever we're doing. And then I write down a list of the resources that I already have that I'm planning on using. And then if I notice gaps in there, that's where I will take that and make an actual shopping list. So for example, if I have math for 2 of my kids, I'd write down the 2 that I have. And then the third one that I don't have, I would write on my shopping list. Or if history, if I've got all these resource books, but I'm missing the 1800s, or I'm missing some living books, those will go onto my shopping list to look for either, again, at a store or online, or from a friend if it's something that we could borrow, or the library, which is a great resource. So let me talk a little bit about that, about selecting the things that are missing from what you've already got at home. How do we pick curriculum and resources? Okay, so again, thinking about their learning style, thinking about your teaching style, thinking about things like the price point, like these are all definitely considerations. But there's other ways too that you can look into things like, I love the Rainbow Resource Curriculum Guide. I've shared that before. That's a great one for really being able to see overviews of different curriculum. I think it's super important that we don't get married to a curriculum. We can say, we didn't love this, and there are many ways to learn this concept. So we can try a different way, and that's okay. It's okay to try something else. Because at the end of the day, it's not about them finishing this curriculum. It's about them learning these concepts that we want them to learn. We want them to learn math and reading and about different countries and about different times and people and places. So that's the thing that we want them to learn. But how we get them there, there's no one right answer for everyone. And there's really not even one right answer for your family. There's multiple things that could work or that could not work. And that's fine. Everybody's different and everybody's at a different season. Something that this year doesn't work might work later, and that's fine. It doesn't mean that it's a bad curriculum or that, you know, that you're a bad teacher or that your kids are a bad learner. It's all fine. It's just about learning these concepts as we go through life and preparing them for adulthood, preparing them to be good adults that aren't going to be perfect and they're not going to be good at everything. And that's okay too. So I also obviously look up YouTube videos about curriculum, and that's super helpful for me. That's part of why I started this channel, just to pass along that helping hand of seeing inside and how things work. Also talk to your friends. Maybe you can flip through their books or talk to them about what they did this year, what worked and didn't work, and see if, okay, maybe this could be a better fit for our family as we're moving forward. And it's okay too to break from different curriculums. If you've done a big box set, that's great. And I'm glad that got you set up. But if you find that, okay, well, this part we liked and this part we liked, but these parts, they just let them go. Do the parts that you liked and that worked for you and look for something else. It's okay to look around and don't feel like your kids are going to end up with these huge gaps. Like, you're going to assess every year and you're going to see if there's something that really is missing. But this brings up another topic, right, that I was talking to my mom about and some friends, is that we can go wide in curriculum. And I feel like in a lot of public schools, they go pretty wide with stuff. You know, you kind of get an idea of a lot of different surface level things, but we also can go deep. And that's what I tend to do, is just go really deep on one subject. So maybe when they're done and graduated, they won't know a lot about, or they won't know a little bit about a lot of countries, but they will know a lot about a few countries. And in that, they will have learned how to dive deep, how to get passionate about something, how to really understand something. And to me, that's more valuable. But you assess for you. Would you rather that your kids have this kind of wide, broad knowledge about things, or would you rather that they go deeper into certain topics? And that will help you too as you're navigating, okay, what resources do I want to add? Do I want to add broad resources? Do I want to add deep resources? And that will tell you too how long to spend on each topic. You know, maybe you want to zip through this certain section of whatever it is, history or math or something, or maybe you want them to really soak into that part and to really study it for a while and get a strong foundation on that part. And it's okay to use wide with some and deep with others and different topics. That's fine too, to mix and match and make it really work for you and your family. Okay, so I've assessed how last year went. I've assessed my teaching style, their learning style. I have written a list of my objectives and what I feel God is telling us to do for this coming school year. I have made separate lists for each category of school that we're going to be studying for the upcoming year with my resources that I already have. And then the resources that I don't have where I need to fill in a hole, I have a shopping list. And now I've done my research on YouTube and through curriculum guides and watching videos and looking at the different websites that are available. And I've figured out what we're going to have. I've shopped. It's come in the house. It's in the boxes. I'm ready to set up. And now is when a lot of people will take and do a daily or monthly or weekly homeschool planner. Now, I don't use anything that tracks it every day for us. I don't have written down, on this day, we're going to do these pages and this subject. And this year I am going to try to do like every Monday we do science, every Tuesday we do history or something to that effect, because just for myself, because I feel like I want to do all the subjects every day. And that's probably a little unrealistic. So we're going to try to rein it in a little for myself so that I don't feel bad when I don't do it all every single day. So a little bit there, a little bit more structure, but I've not gone as far as the structure of filling out a planner. Now, people love planners and they work for them. And so if it works for you, that's great. Find a good planner, fill in. This is the time when you would fill in the pages. You would look at each curriculum and say, okay, I need to do 10 pages a week or 10 pages a day or whatever needs to happen for us to finish it by the end of the semester or by the end of the school year. And so you get a chance to fiddle with the numbers. And the only thing I would say is that if you are going to do it where you're like doing it down to the page, and I would probably just do the first semester so that you have a chance to kind of regroup after the holidays and reassess where you're at. This is the time to fill in the lesson planner. This is when I, though, finish filling in those pages where I have the subject at the top. So I finish filling them out with all the resources that I have. That way, through the school year, because I keep it right in my binder that I use all the time. And so then if we're working through the school year, every once in a while, I'll flip to those pages and be like, am I using the resources that I have and that I set aside for this? All right, so that's that. That's my simple and straightforward way that I lesson plan. Maybe it sounds complicated, but for me, it works. I like that I can see it on the paper. I like that I'm basically free as far as the planning parts go because I just use notebook papers, and that I'm able to use the resources that I have, gain the new resources that I need, really look at my family and what is going to work for us and what our goals and priorities are. I hope this was helpful for you, and I hope that you have a really good homeschool year, that this encourages you as you're planning, and that you give yourself grace too. Don't compare your journey to somebody else's journey or your planning to somebody else's planning. There are different ways to do it, and it's not right or wrong, just different, and that's fine. Do what works for you. Have fun with it. Let learning and the love of learning be a goal for you and your family. Real life is messy and beautiful and better with books. So why do I always start with so? Is there something that I've forgotten or something that that maybe slipped through the cracks a little bit? If you're, behind in your books or not as far as you thought you'd be, then you have a chance to just regroup on that. It was kind of a nightmare. We cried every day. I didn't really like it. They were super annoyed, but we did it. And so we're just going to keep doing it. Let's not do that. That sounds scary. Like we can, but we don't have to, right?